Hi, my name is Miliana, a female entrepreneur, passionate about inspiring other females in creating a life they love and sovereignty, while developing businesses with a positive impact. I grew up on a small farm surrounded by cows, sheep, chickens, dogs, cats, and nature. That's where I learned that a natural, sustainable way is sometimes the best way. I think it is how our modern world can heal itself from the inside out. I strive to do what makes me happy, work with people that inspire, and share some of these moments with you.
Hi, welcome to yet another Fruitful Talk. Today I have Reagan Branch with me from Pyramid Solutions, and I can't wait to share her story with you because she is bringing some interesting stuff, especially in the field that she works in, that is predominantly masculine, and I'm really excited. Welcome, Reagan.
Hi, how are you, Miliana?
I'm doing good, and I'm really, really excited. So could you please introduce yourself for the audience?
My name is Reagan Branch. I live in New York City. I immigrated from Guyana when I was 11 years old, and I lived in Brooklyn, grew up in Brooklyn, went to school upstate New York, and now I live in Queens, New York. So I spend majority of my life in New York State, and the earlier part in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And I'm currently a business owner. My company is Pyramid Safety and Health Solutions. So my title would be Environmental and Occupational Safety and Health Consultant. So what I do is go to workplaces, physical locations to ensure that they are safe. Workers are not exposed to any hazards. So primarily because I'm in New York City, we don't have a lot of industry. My work tends to be mostly construction.
Yeah, and you're currently at a job site, correct?
Yes. I had, so the environmental portion of my company, we do water testing. We test for lead in water at daycare centers. And so an employee couldn't do it today. So last minute I had to cover. So
yeah, well, I like it. It's kind of organic. As long as we have a good connection with the internet, this is a very organic place, and I love having you there. It gives people an idea of how your day goes about.
Yeah. It has to be flexible.
Yeah, exactly. So one question that I always ask is if you're a person who do you feel like you have a life purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to share it with us?
Yeah. I guess my life purpose is to make life better for whomever I can come in contact with, right? So I see myself as a helper. And I've always been drawn to careers that promote help to empower people, educate. And that's just been following my entire career and even my personal life. Like now I'm pursuing, I'm now certified as a yoga instructor, and
congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to incorporate that into the rest of my life, ensuring that communities that I'm a part of are mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy.
Yeah, it's all about that care for people and safety that you actually just mentioned a moment ago. Okay, and how do you see, and I think it's already there, but like, how do you see your two projects? One is your business, and then being now a certified yoga instructor. How do you see that fit in within your purpose and actually fulfill it?
They work really well. So within my career, I literally help people. I prevent people from dying.
Yeah.
I ensure that, young people that are in daycares, that are in homes, are in environments that are free of lead paint, which can lead to developmental delay. I ensure that workers in manufacturing and factories aren't exposed to chemicals that can cause them to have long-term, or even short-term acute injuries or
Right.
health issues. And with regards to yoga, I've been practicing since, at my first job. There was a studio near where I worked, and I dropped in and I did a couple of introductory sessions, and it's been just a part of my life, and it has taught me how to relax. I hadn't always been into meditation, but now I'm doing that, and I find that it helps me so much during my day, because I have situations which are trying, because I'm working with people that don't see me as an authority, and sometimes I just have to be into a space where I don't have to, I have to control myself. So, being able to take a breath and recenter helps, and so that practice really, for me personally, it's helped, and it's also being able to teach that. In the future will also help whomever is, adventurous enough to participate in a class that I teach.
Yeah, I think you're a very good example of having a purpose and really working in a field that provides for you to fulfill it. And you've been doing this for a very, very long time, correct?
Yeah. So my career started out as an asbestos laboratory technician, right? So initially, that job was just for me to get experience, because I was going to go to school. After my bachelor's degree, I have a bachelor's in chemistry. So my ultimate goal was to go to pharmacy school. And so I was like, okay, let me try working on a lab. So I worked in an asbestos lab doing prep work for samples, and realized that it was not the environment for me. You're in a lab all day, four walls, and you don't have much interaction with people. And so I took a job with the health department, the lead poisoning prevention program. And I was with a crop of new hires. We were all early 20s, and some of us pursuing school and all of that. So I learned about environmental health, and that was empowering, because I got into people's homes. I got to know their kids, because I would follow them if they had an elevated blood lead level. I would follow them until the levels went down. So it would be monthly visits, sometimes visiting their doctors, their grandparents. So we built a relationship. And that was very rewarding. But I decided to go to grad school because there wasn't a chance for growth within that agency. And when I was in grad school, I discovered occupational health. So, and I was exposed to OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It's an agency within the federal government that sets standards for workplace, so workers are safe when they're in the work. So whether it's requiring guardrails around holes, the heights of stair handles, chemical levels that you should be exposed to, this agency sets those standards. And so being exposed to that in grad school, led me to apply for a job. I called and spoke with someone. She's like, well, I actually called the state first, New York State, and they told me.
Can you repeat that part?
And I spent 10 years. Yeah, I spent 10 years with federal OSHA in the Manhattan area office. I also spent some time in their Queens district office. I went to Long Island for a little bit. You cover different areas where maybe other people are on leave or vacation or whatever the case is. But it was a really great job. I got to see the ins and out of so many types of businesses. I came on as an industrial hygienist, which is a person that deals with health hazards, so chemical exposures, noise, things like that. But because within New York City we are limited in terms of industry, we don't have a lot of factories. I ended up doing a lot of construction, safe industrial hygiene. So when workers are doing demolition of buildings, they could be exposed to high levels of dust or asbestos or lead. when they're doing the facade repair silica. So I ended up doing the sampling for that. And I would go into job sites where there's construction activity and basically do the health monitoring for the workers that are exposed to hazards that are construction related. So lead, asbestos, silica, high levels of dust, maybe temperature or noise. And I would do that kind of monitoring. But I had both colleagues, senior colleagues, and my boss that encouraged me to cross-train and get more involved with construction. So I ended up doing a lot of construction safety. And I had really great mentors. One that comes to mind is Bob Stewart. He's passed away, but he was such a great and encouraging colleague. And he taught me the ropes of construction, and it's been a part of my career ever since.
You touched base on something very interesting earlier, mentioning about how you would go into a job site and people would not see you as an authority. Would you mind sharing a little bit more, like what you meant by that and how you deal with it? Because you are in a predominantly masculine career, in my opinion, and you can share more about that because you're actually the one facing it firsthand.
Yeah. So I left OSHA after 10 years, and I decided that I wanted to find out about the private sector because my ultimate goal was to work for myself and own my own company. So I worked for third-party safety companies for about 2.5 to 3 years. And then I ventured out on my own full-time. In the private sector, going in and being on the opposite end. So when I was in enforcement, I worked as an OSHA compliance officer. Anything I said, people complied with, right? Because there was a chance of them getting a penalty, a violation, whatever.
Right.
But on the opposite end, I'm getting to see what actually safety managers had to deal with, right? So workers not complying, workers doing, their own thing, and basically knowing better in some cases, but still not complying. So as a female in safety, as a site safety manager, what I encountered a lot was people testing me, people disrespecting me, because they didn't want to do the job safely and comply. Or they just thought that, I need to just do this quickly and it'll be fine. But that's what leads to accidents, right? And ultimately, I'm there to ensure that the project goes on, because in the event someone gets injured, we have to notify the Department of Buildings. And so that can lead to a stop of the job. That can lead to, if someone gets injured, high insurance, workers' compensation, all of this liability. So they were weighing getting the job done faster versus doing it safely. And you can do both. Right. And I just got caught in the middle of production versus safety. And I've had it out with people where I've been disrespected and called names on, over loudspeakers. I've had people, write derogatory images and things around the job sites. I've had being told to my face, having screaming matches, really disrespectful things. And to some extent, I feel a lot of it is because I'm a female, especially a Black female, and I'm not seen as an authority by some people because they haven't seen me or people like me in an environment like that or in that role.
Yeah.
So I think it took getting some used to. And just in general, there weren't a lot of women in the trades, right? So there weren't a lot of women swinging hammers and doing the physical work. And then here I am, being an authority telling you what to do. So I think a lot of people that were not used to it, and I'm trying to be as graceful as possible. They just led with ultimately being non-compliant, let's say.
Yeah.
So that's been like, some of the struggle that I've had to deal with. And then the other part sometimes is not having the people that hire you have your back, right? Because they're on the side of wanting to get the job done quickly. So it's a weird position to be in. Like, you're in the middle of trying to save their money and protect them, and then like them, wanting you to see their end and work with them. So
I am really sorry that you've had to experience that. I've known you for a period of time now, at this point, at least a few years. And I know how amazing you are and how much you contribute to people, not just at work. Like, I work with you very little, but like, you've been such a major contribution to my life outside of like work. So I am really sorry that you've gone through it, but I also want to point out
and
that you
I
are
don't
still
feel sorry.
absolutely amazing, and you continue with your spirit. That's really like, I feel like you've gone through it, but at the same time, it has not made you any weaker. It probably made you stronger. And
Oh yeah, definitely. That's been my takeaway from it. And I've just, in addition to that, I saw that, in order for this to change, so that we have more women that are, in this field and making a difference, and just being able to pursue it because it's available for them to pursue. It's a rewarding career. It's high paying. I have been involved in organizations such as National Association of Women in Construction. So I'm now the chapter president for the Greater New York chapter 240. And so the goals are to first ensure that young women know about the careers that are available within construction. So, you can be in the trade side, you can be on the professional side, and you can be in between like I am.
right.
And really encourage them to look at these careers and expose them to these careers. So one of the things that we're doing soon is we're doing a competition that the organization has founded, which is called Block It. So we use building blocks, particularly Legos, and we work with girls and boys, grades 4 through 6. We focus on 4 through 6 kids, just to, have them be creative and think about the careers. And the judges for their builds are professionals, so they get to see and ask questions and actually touch, feel, and see women that are doing this type of work.
Right.
It's important to see people in a field to think that you can achieve it.
Absolutely.
And kind of that's how I got into construction. I saw it around me growing up, and I actually had a chance to go to a competition such as the one that we're putting on. When I was, I think, in the 8th or 9th grade, there was a group called NSBE, which still is, National Association of Black Engineers, National Society of Black Engineers, and they had a weekend competition at, I think, Metro Tech College in Brooklyn. And I was like, wow, this is so creative. We got to, make parachutes and play with eggs and make sure they didn't drop. And that creativity was what led me to the STEM field.
Okay, that is interesting. So what I wanted to touch base next, so what did you see like some of the opportunities and rewards for yourself before and now that you've had the business for a while? And how long you've had the business for, by the way?
I started in end of 2015 full time, so I'm going on 6 years now.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
So opportunities. So how it was before was very long days. I think when I moved in 2015, I couldn't oversee any of the renovations in my house. That's how much I worked. I had to have family members, go and meet with contractors and all of that stuff, because I was just always at the job site. So I was working for 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. And it was starting to have a toll on me at that point. And what is the difference now is I have a lot more flexibility. I still work a lot, but I'm not stuck on a job site, I'm not, I have to work a lot from the office, but I still do field work because I love that. But I'm not stuck in the office. I have the ability to, go to an appointment with a family member if they need me to, come with them, or, do a lot more than I had to do when I had to be at a specific location 9 to 5 every day, or longer in my case.
Okay, so you see the opportunity of flexibility of like choosing your own schedule and having your job also work with your life, not just like your life working with your job. Like there is a balance between the two, and that's something very, very important, I think, for most people.
Right. And the other things are, you can earn as little or as much money as you want. It depends on how much effort you're going to put in, right? And also what I like is just having the ability to give opportunity to other, both people of color and women, to work in these fields, which, for a lot of people, they don't even know it is a pathway, or that it exists, especially the area that I'm in, which is safety. So a lot of people, like I have the educational route to safety, but you can go into safety by being experienced as a foreman, or, a supervisor on a job site, because you know how to work with people, you know how to do the work correctly, so you're not injured, so that workers are not injured. So you can go that path along, and then of course training. So in order to get within New York City, they have a certification called a site safety manager, construction site safety manager. So you have to do certain hours of training, and then you have to take an exam, and the Department of Buildings review your work experience, as well as the training that you've done, to decide if you're qualified to be in this role. And so, a lot of people that have gone to job sites, and they're like, what is it that you do? And I tell them, like, this is what the role is and how to do it. Like, I really love empowering people to take on doing this work, because I want to see more diversity in it. I want to see more women do it. I want to see more women of color, and even men, because I don't know that people see that there is a path beyond the trades. So men that are, they've just been carpenters, you can be in safety after you decide to not swing the hammer anymore. So I love encouraging and empowering people in that way.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I also love having you here, because I know how much you do for others, and effort you put, and you give a helping hand every time you can. And you actually have been one of the people during COVID who were there for me, and I really, really appreciate that so much. Okay, so we talked about the role that you do and how you actually got where you are. We also mentioned a little bit of the challenges, but I would like to go a little bit more into the challenges. For instance, you mentioned the challenges of you working as a woman, or starting out as a woman, and learning to stand up for yourself and learning to have a voice, because your job is a lot of responsibility, not just for you, but for both parties, the people building, the owners, and you can correct me if I'm using the wrong terminology, but what other challenges have you encountered on this path? And you also have people working for you at this point. So, like, if you can share with us any other challenges that you saw, that you encountered on your journey.
On the journey of being an employer, I think the biggest thing has been finding qualified and reliable people. right?
What do you mean by that? Because I think that can also be
So
interpreted in so many ways.
yeah, like people that show up and do the work with integrity, like they are at the location they're supposed to be. They're there on time. They do the work correctly. They're not trying to skip out early, because that reflects bad on me as a company.
Correct.
If I can't rely on workers to do the work, right? One of the other things is finding consistent work. So construction is about having relationships, and I didn't come in the normal way. So I don't have the connections that, people that have been doing this for decades. I've been on the enforcement side, I've been the bad guy. So I do bid on jobs, but I find that I don't have as much luck when it's just putting in paperwork to win. You have to have relationships with the people that are decision makers to land contracts, and contracts that are consistent and long term. And so what I've discovered is working on private projects is less reliable than working on government funded projects. Government funded projects tend to be more, they make safety a higher priority. Not that safety is not a priority with private projects, but they have people that are overseeing the people that are hired to do safety for their contractors, right? So that is built in with the way their project is designed. Whereas sometimes I feel within the private sector, on private high-rise projects, in some cases, when it's the less well-known companies, they don't have as much of a safety what is the word, a safety culture for their company, right? A lot of people, or a lot of companies don't invest in safety as much as they do in other aspects, right? But I think it's a very important area for you to invest, because it pays off, because losses such as injuries or death can lead to, a lot of costs, not only in terms of financial, but also in terms of reputation damage, right? So, you'll be featured on the media, you'll be featured in the news, your workers can talk about you. And that can damage your brand as a company.
Also, I think that, a human life is very important. And like facing those safety importances for companies, I think it's important, because I think what happens, at least this is from my experience, is we think it won't happen, right? Like all that won't happen. That's a rare occasion. That's a very small chance of happening. But when you're in such a risk environment, and we all know construction is probably one of the higher risk, because you can be in a higher up in the building, and even though you have a full floor, there's still risk of like something happening. So I completely get what you mean, and I hope that the private sector also gets to more and more adapt to that safety, so you can also have your job be easier. You can talk about it.
I think from when I started to now, I think the building industry has changed, and I think one of the reasons is New York City is very aggressive in terms of their enforcement of safety on job sites. And so, them implementing the requirement to have safety personnel on certain types of projects, and now superintendents on lower projects taking on the responsibility for safety. That's really helped to change the culture in New York City. And especially within New York City, it's not just the workers that are exposed to hazards, it's the pedestrians. And because we're in such close proximity to everyone, a job site goes into the sidewalk and sometimes into the street, right? So pedestrian could be harmed and have been harmed from uh, work that's going on inside of a building that's new or that's already constructed. So
Yeah. Okay, I think we touched base really good on everything, like your education and background and how you ended up and the desire to own your own business. Also the values that you have. It's really about caring the people. There was one part that I wanted to like touch base more on, and it's sustainability.
mhm.
I know that what you do is actually contributing a lot to sustainability and safety of people, and I see that. I see sustainability as in like something that comes from within. Also, you're demonstrating it by continuously working on yourself. I mean, your recent yoga certification just shows how dedicated you are to your well-being, and that really shows outside of you, like the work that you do. But could you like maybe tell us a little bit more around how do you see what you do fit even more into the sustainable world? And again, like when I'm saying risk to sustainability, I'm not talking about just the environment, though you actually have a direct contact with it. I'm talking about
Mhm.
as a whole, like within others and the environment, because it's all connected.
Okay, that's a good question and a tough question. um, okay, so from the perspective of environmental sustainability, I think what I do is ensure that the workforce understands their role, understands how they have the ability to affect the environment around them, right?
Hmm.
Um, so ensuring that their colleagues are safe is important. Ensuring that the actions that they take that are safe ensures that the project that they're doing is a healthy project for the neighborhood. That's a healthy project for the workers that are there, which contributes to a happier society. That's kind of a stretch, but in
No,
another
but
way
you're
too.
right. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
And in another way too, like I think when businesses plan for safety from the beginning, they think about other things. They make humans a priority.
Hmm.
So that may jump from thinking of the workplace safety into the safety of the building that they're building, the products that they're using,
Absolutely.
and the processes that they're using to build the buildings, right?
Right.
And another aspect, how you design the buildings, because one of the first things that I did, and I did this part-time when I was still in the private sector working for other companies,
Hmm.
I trained hotel staff on just the safety in their environment, because they're exposed to a lot, right? They're in general industry, they're not in construction, but they're exposed to things like ergonomic hazards. They're exposed to biological hazards. They're in rooms cleaning up after people.
Yeah.
They're exposed to physical violence in the workplace. And when I was brought in earlier before the hotels are open, I was able to have the workers, the staff think about how the rooms are set up
Hmm.
so that it's functional for the workers. Imagine bending over to take sheets off of a bed, fill a pillowcase, tuck a sheet, raise a mattress, 18 times throughout your workday, right? That's going to take a toll on your body. So a lot of the times I was able to talk to some of the staff about, like, think about the workers when you create these rooms. Think about, you know, a lot of the times I'm seeing now, the hotel rooms are built smaller and they're trying to fit more people in, so they're putting in bunks. How does an average worker that's female tends to be smaller, tends to be immigrant? How does that person reach up on a bunk bed,
Right.
you know, throughout their workday to change a bed? We don't think about that, right? But those kinds of things you want to have, the industry needs to take into consideration when they're creating spaces.
Yeah.
They, not just the financial aspect of it, but the people that are going to be cleaning
Yeah.
and making these places functional and places where they can earn money. They have to think about that, because
Right.
on the back end, they're going to have a lot of turnaround. They're going to have a lot of cases of people getting injured if they don't plan better.
Right. And then the materials, like you said, the material that they use, like everything plays a role. It's everything is connected, you know, from the workers to the materials to how it's built. And also, like, I think in, like you said, in the long run, it actually saves them more money by thinking of their employees. So they're actually more profitable, and the people are happier working for them because they're not gonna
Right.
strain themselves or, like, you know, feel what do we call that nowadays when we overwork ourselves? I don't know, I can't think of the word, like, at the moment when um burnout.
Overexertion.
Overexertion, yes, and burnout.
Yes.
I think is the word burnout
Yeah,
I was
burnout.
looking for. Yeah, like people aren't gonna experience as much as burnout, and people are gonna be more happy to work for you. So you have a very good point. Okay, you've touched on a lot.
And the other thing is, which is a huge thing, construction industry, there's not a lot of young people coming into it. So in order for, because, you know, a lot of the workers are older and they're going to be retiring soon. And so we're going to have a shortfall of newcomers to fill those roles.
Wow.
So you have to make it so that it's safe for them. You know, you have to make it so that they're not risking their lives to make a buck, you know, and coming in from, you know, the aspect of women getting into this field, you know, some of the things that has been historically have led women to not participate is the hygiene aspects of a construction site, right? So you don't have running water a lot of times. You have porta-johns. We don't have full bathrooms, you know, to go into. A lot of the safety clothing that we have don't fit the average woman because it's not built for a woman. They don't think of a woman when they're designing this, right? Or when they're designing tools, right? And so all of that is part of the sustainability process.
Right.
You have to plan for your future workforce. You have to plan for the diversity of your workforce so that you can sustain the industry, because at some point millennials don't want to be in places where they're not seen, where they're not, their bodies and their health are not taken into account.
Yep.
Right. So that's the other aspect of, I think, sustainability.
Absolutely. You bring a very, very, very good point. Yeah, the young people nowadays, including myself, I don't want to go for a company and work for a company where I'm not being valued, or the people aren't thinking of me and they're just thinking about how they're going to make money off of me, because I am willingly going there and I am getting paid. But in the end, I see it as a loss more if my well-being isn't good in the end, because that money won't mean much to me. My well-being means a lot more, both physical and mental. So you bring a very, very valid point, and I actually didn't even know that. So thank you for sharing that statistic with us, that the workforce, at least where you work in New York City, you see a lot of more older people, and there's not many young people entering. And one of the reason is because of the environment that they get to work in. So yeah, hopefully that people are noticing that, who are creating these jobs, and they can give that opportunity to younger people and also women. Okay. We've done pretty good. Um, I want to, the next thing I want to talk about is where do you see yourself going from now on? You already have an established company. Um, you've been around for a long time. I get it. Like you also worked in the private and public sector, and now you're mainly in the public. I also like learn about you doing the yoga certification. So where do you see yourself from here now? Let's say 5 to 10 years from now. Like what do you see yourself doing?
I definitely want to grow the company to a place where I'm able to provide opportunity for more people. Um, yeah, to provide opportunity for more people, bring in more revenue, help more businesses, especially in the general industry sector, not so much construction. Um, because I don't think the average company owner, whether it's a retail store or a clinic or whatever, they don't have the resources to have safety be a part of their day to day. So being able to offer those services on a la carte basis for them, so that their industry and their workers also feel protected.
Right.
That's something I want to grow into and provide opportunities for, young people that coming into safety and health to go in and learn about that, right? And other challenges that I want to take on, I want to write a book about safety and health.
Awesome.
I don't know, it's not attractive, but I think it can be less of a textbook type of a book. I have some ideas that I'm tossing around.
What do you mean? It is attractive, and especially you writing it. Come on, look at you. You're gorgeous. And you had so much experience.
Yeah, but I think
you really can bring a lot of value to the world by writing that book.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But I see what I've seen in the past about safety is, these really hard, thick, bound textbook looking things that, it's intimidating for the average person to open.
Yeah.
If they want to take on safety on a more individual level, like they want to be able to make sure their workplaces are safe and recognize hazards. That's intimidating. So I want to make it less intimidating for them by creating something that's easier to
digest.
Really
Absolutely. I love that idea. So have you started writing on that?
I have chapter outlines.
Awesome. Okay. So just like, I guess, just for accountability purposes, when do you think you'll have your first draft ready by?
I'm giving myself a year. Maybe 9 months a year if I'm more diligent in in doing the work. But
okay, so next year we'll have another interview and we'll talk about your book.
Yeah, so when you're initially inspired, you know how your juices get going, and then I write on that. So I have my Microsoft Notes chapters already,
Awesome.
Created.
Yeah,
and
keep connecting to that why, because you have a very good why. So keep connecting to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have to remember that. Yeah.
Anything else?
And then from the yoga, from the yoga part, I wanna bring that to communities around me. Whether it's for construction, like creating a stretch program for construction workers, so that before they go into do heavy work, they are stretched out and warmed up. So definitely that.
Look at you! This is amazing. You're so right. I stretch even in the morning when I wake up, and I'm not doing any physical work, and it feels so good. I can't imagine them using their body the whole day, moving around, picking things up.
That leads to a lot of injuries when you're not in a place where your body's warm. Like think about going to the gym. When you go to the gym, you just don't go and pick up a 50-pound weight, right?
Absolutely.
You do
warm
a lot
up.
of stretching.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that I do when I'm on job sites. Like I do a morning stretch with the workers before the toolbox talk, so that they are, physically present to their bodies. Like,
Right.
so that they can continue to do this work safely for a long time.
Very, very
And
good
then also,
point.
yeah, within my community within Queens, before COVID started, I actually had friends come over to our community room and do Sunday yoga, which was really great because I think it builds community. People are no longer strangers, and I also wanted to do it with maybe people in job training programs or formerly incarcerated folks, because they are seen as they have a red mark against them, right? And they carry that around with them.
Yeah.
And they're just humans just like you and I. And just having them connect as well to their spirit, to their physical bodies, and use the tools of meditation to control, like I do,
Right.
any stresses that maybe they're challenged with.
Absolutely agree with you. I mean, I remember not very recently in the past reading about how much of an impact just sleeping 5 minutes a day has on people and community and schools. Like I think I read somewhere that the crime rate went down just by people meditating every day by I think 5 minutes. It was a very
Mm-hmm.
small amount of time and it was done regularly. It made such a huge impact. So I can totally see you have a major impact on this industry that is high risk when it comes to safety for people
Mm-hmm.
working in it. Yeah, like I love everything that is coming our way. I can't wait to see it happening live. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we close off?
Um, no, I just want women, I just want young people to think about careers that challenge them. Think about entrepreneurship, because it it is a challenge, but you grow as a human being. Um,
Absolutely.
you get to live up to your potential. There's less boredom. you know. Um, I love a challenge, so I don't know.
That's good.
That's
So
just
you were
me.
basically telling people out there whatever is stopping them, it's okay, but at the same time, like look beyond that and like take up a challenge that could have you step out of those limiting beliefs or circumstances or wherever they are, because they're just a little bump on the road to getting to
Yeah,
the
you said it
human
well.
being that you really would like, that you desire to become.
Right. And you grow only by stretching. You grow only by taking things on that are difficult. That's how muscles grow, right? Um, and that's how babies learn to walk. They give up, the safety of the hands of their parents,
Yeah.
and in doing that, they gain freedom in the process. So,
You've really said that very well. I literally saw that as you were talking. I literally saw the baby just like, okay, my mom or my dad is there nearby, but hey, I am not holding anyone. I'm walking. And they like literally want to
yeah,
run away from you because they're like, leave me alone. Don't touch me.
yeah, yeah.
That's how you are experiencing your journey of
Yeah, that's our
transformation and
journey as
challenge.
humans, though. As we transition from different phase of our life.
Oh, that you, yeah, I couldn't have said it better. That was beautiful. Okay, and I think that you also covered up like the part about what would you advise for people to do as entrepreneurs? That was beautiful. Okay. Now where can we find you on the internet, on social media?
Um, on the internet, my company website is www pyramid pyramid as in solution.com, and it's the same for my Instagram. It's pyramid pyramid
I will definitely get that from you, and I'll also share it
And I
in
do
the.
have a U page. I have a YouTube page also, which I haven't really put a lot of content into, but like a lot of the interviews I do with NAWIC, National Association of Women in Construction, I put it there. And also I produced a video for, I went to the ASSE conference a few years ago, and I produced a video about women in construction. So it's on there as well, my Pyramid Solutions YouTube page.
And that's what it's called. It's Pyramid Solutions as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And one last thing.
If I can, you can.
I love it. That's so much fun. Again, thank you so much, Reagan, for being here today, having this conversation with me. And I am definitely looking to part 2, where we'll go into other projects that you're going on, especially around your book and yoga and meditation and the workforce that will provide even a lot more safety and a less chance of any injuries that could happen. And thank you everyone for joining me today again. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Please like, subscribe, and write any comments below and questions that you may have. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.